Would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars restoring a historic home that most people would not even step foot in? Today, we are touring a 1903 historic home that many other people would call a teardown, and we are explaining why we think that they are dead wrong. So, today we're going to be talking you through a house that most people would walk up to and turn around and walk right back to their car because they would look at it and immediately judge a book by its cover and say that it is a teardown. But we completely disagree. And so, we're going to be breaking all of that down. We are a mother daughter team who are here to help you buy the right historic home, buy it at the right price, be able to restore it the right way. And I am a realtor and I am the daughter of Marley.
I'm Elaine, and I'm a licensed contractor. I've been restoring historic homes for over 25 years.
All right. So let's break down this house. We walked through this home about a week ago. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it is one of those houses that you walk up, the porch is not completely falling in, but there are definitely places that you
Well,
would
there
be
are
nervous to
holes.
step.
Yeah,
And the columns
the
are cave in.
fabulous pillars are rotted at the bottom, at the bases, and they are fabulous. They're very decorative. Just a beautiful house on the outside. But yes, the porch is scary. You approach it and you're thinking, uh oh, what's to come?
I'm laughing because she says beautiful house on the outside, but most people would not agree with that. I think most people can't necessarily see the things that she can see and that I can now see because of working so much with her. Most people would walk up to this house and not say it's beautiful. They would say, like, oh my goodness, that is not a house that I feel confident or comfortable doing. But we, again, think very differently. And that's really what we want to help you understand is that just because she has so much experience with this doesn't mean that she is the only type of person that can handle a house like this. If you have the right resources, if you have the right eye, if you are able to find the right people to support you on that journey, it could be possible for anyone. So let's talk through a little bit of beyond the exterior. What are the things that we saw whenever we went into this house?
Okay, I loved that it has the normal 11 to 12-foot ceilings. That's a big deal. Original light fixtures, original front door, original matching doors and hardware throughout the house. So it had a lot of negatives too, but those things are just so big to have those there for you to work with, just to begin with.
Yep, and it also had several built-ins that
Yeah.
were original. It had amazing accordion style wooden doors that were
A
rich as
very
well.
unique set of doors, yes.
Yeah, very cool.
The wood trim was still original, all original. I think the biggest thing that would terrify most buyers was that every wall is covered with thin paneling,
Yes.
1950 wood paneling, which is kind of popping off now, and underneath it, it has the original shiplap and every bit of original wallpaper on the ceilings, on the wall, behind that, which to me is just fabulous. Of course, you can't leave that original wallpaper, it is in shred, but it's so fun to see that it's still there. They didn't I don't know why they preserved it, but
Mhm.
to me, I get so excited about things like that. So that's just me.
Yeah, and I think correct me if wrong, but I would think that also that wood paneling that was put in, while you would obviously tear it off, it has probably preserved the walls underneath, the shiplap underneath to some extent, or no?
The shiplap is usually just it's hardwood. I mean, that's gonna be fine. I think what I thought was kinda cool is why didn't they tear that off? Why didn't they put I don't know what they were thinking, but either way, it's fun to see the this way you get to see the history. You get to see what was there, which makes it so much more fun.
And the shiplap makes the walls
It
sturdier.
that is what holds the house together. In these old houses, now we frame much differently. They were framed not on 16-inch stud. They didn't have 16-inch stud back then. They were much further apart. The shiplap is really the structure of the house. If you took the shiplap down, that house is not going to be sturdy anymore. That is the structure. So if you're gonna put sheetrock down, you leave the shiplap behind your news sheet, you have to. But anyway, it's so fun to see history when you get to find it because it's so rare.
Yes, because I think most houses we see, even houses like this that need a lot of work that we're still really excited about, most of the time, they only have pieces of the original features and original details, and you're still having to kind of piece things together, whereas this house really had everything intact.
Right. The kitchen, houses of this era, which this house would be around 1900 probably,
I think it was
they did not have any kind of kitchen. Some had barely any cabinets in the kitchen. You can't ever expect a fabulous historic kitchen. That's very, very rare. But this kitchen was updated probably in the 1950s, probably when they put that paneling up, 50s or 60s. And you would not be able to keep the kitchen. You would want to try to make a more historic looking kitchen that is all custom, and that would be really, really necessary.
yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things that we found interesting in this home was that they have added on quite a bit, right?
They did. Yeah, it had a fabulous dining room, but then they had added right next to the kitchen a little, I guess, breakfast room, which is totally modern, does not really go with the house at all. But I don't think you can remove it now. So I think you could do something fun with it.
I
Make it
think
a
a
little,
butler's pantry
yeah, a
would be
butler's
great.
pantry or sunroom or little office space, art room, you could do something with it. It had a big, big living room that had at least, yeah, the at least part of it was added on to. So,
Mm,
and it definitely did not match the character of the rest of the house.
yeah.
So, I think you'd have to try to bring that character in to make it match the rest of the house. You're not going to get rid of that because typically, well, you'd have to go to the historic board and ask about that. But I think you'd keep it because it's a lot of square footage. It's well built. And just go ahead and try to bring your trim and your doors to match the rest of the historic home. And you can do that. You can definitely match all the trim, the inside trim. Look at the outside too of that addition and make sure it matches the rest of the exterior.
Yeah, one of the other things that we really loved about this house was, of course, location. We talk about that all the time. Location is incredible for this house. And then the other thing was the lot size. Typically in historic homes, at least in the area that we're in, and I think probably commonly across the nation, historic homes usually don't have great big lots. And this house is on a very good sized lot.
It had a fabulous yard. It had a little carport, which most
Yes.
historic districts, you will not find a garage or a carport
Mhm.
because historic homes didn't have garages so
Cars.
yeah, they didn't have cars. So that was kind of a fun thing to have too. But yeah, the yard was fabulous, location was fabulous, a very big house, so very roomy. And the layout, I always talk about layout. It's so important to me because I don't want to tear out walls. I don't want to move walls. I want to keep it the way it should be. And this one had a good layout. So that was fun too.
Yeah. So this is one of those houses that we both left very excited about it. We see a ton of potential in this house and know exactly what it could be. And one of the big factors I think that held you back from deciding that this is one that you would make an offer on was
The price, it's one I would love to restore and make it fabulous to sell to someone, but the price was just too high when you add in all of what you would need to do, and I mean, it needed all infrastructure. I think it definitely needed new HVAC, probably new electrical without investigating, I'm not sure, and I'm pretty sure all plumbing, plus thinking about restoring those additions that needed to be actually made to look like the rest of the house.
yeah. So sometimes you'll see that a house checks all of the boxes and that might be the only box that isn't checked. And so I know for us specifically, my mom is in the middle of another project. So it's okay to wait. And the decision for you is not always as emotional, I think, as it is for a buyer who is buying a
That's
home to
right.
live in it.
That's
And
right.
so it's easier for you to be able to say, I'll give it some time. And then if it's still available when I'm ready, we'll see if we can get the price at the right point.
And with that house, we loved it so much. I would be thrilled if a person comes along, falls in love with it, and buys it for themselves and does that work. That would thrill me. If they don't, and it takes a while to sell, maybe I'll do it. We'll see.
If you can get it at the right price, it
That's
could
right.
be
That's
amazing.
a big deal.
And so I think one of the things that I would love to talk about a little bit is what I said in the beginning that I think a lot of times people can be scared away from projects like this because it looks like it is such a big undertaking, and it is. And this is a house that I think specifically is one that somebody could buy without your experience, but what are the things that they would need to have in place in order for that to be a smart decision?
Well, the number one thing is understanding the process of going through the Office of Historic Preservation to be sure you're doing it right. This one we know the porch, oh my goodness, the porch is going to be a biggie. And the columns. The columns are going to be very tricky to reproduce, the bases that are destroyed. So that's your first thought is it's going to take time to do that part because this is exterior. The interior, though, truly, if you checked out the electrical and the plumbing and got new HVAC, we know it needs that. You could live there and then slowly do the other modifications to the kitchen and other things. I think it's an exciting house for somebody to buy and love.
So I think the whole point of this is don't be scared off just because something looks like it's too big of a project. In many cases, there are small things that you can do in the beginning. And then, as my mom mentioned, you could live there while you're continuing to remodel. It's a matter of getting it at the right price so that you know that you have the budget to work with to do the things that you need to do inside the home, making sure it's the right location, like we've talked about 100 times before, has to be the right location or nothing else matters.
Right.
And then really having a really good understanding of what you're getting into, knowing that you, again, have the resources to be able to do it the right way.
That's right. Couldn't agree more.
So, for a house like this, we would budget for HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and exterior restoration, including that amazing front porch, before we ever touched anything cosmetic. So, to you, is this house a teardown or is it one of the best historic home opportunities that you've seen this year? We would love to know what you would do and what your thoughts are. And if you are on the home hunt right now and you are worried about accidentally purchasing a historic money pit, I want you to grab our free Buy It Right guide. You can find the link in our description below, along with so many other resources depending on what part of the home buying and renovation journey that you are currently on. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Please like and subscribe and share with another historic home lover.